Everybody, and good morning. Welcome back to my live stream on Wednesday. Yes, good day, another good day. Good morning, Trevor. Yes, another good sunny morning indeed. Very happy. I'm very happy. I don't know why. I'm just feeling so happy compared to yesterday. Total transformation. I feel good. So long as my gadget doesn't malfunction, that is, and but so far looking good. The light is good, and camera seems to be functioning fine, so I'm happy. So welcome back. My name is Jimmy Cheng. I'm an Olympus ambassador, professional photographer and filmmaker. So this is Good Morning with Good Morning London. Good Morning London with me. Yes. So this is the live stream. So if you guys don't know what this is about, it's a general thing that I like to talk about during this lockdown period, and also to update you guys with what my conditions is, as this is live and public. So some of my friends and family all over the world will be able to see me and learn about a little bit about us, whether we're doing good or not. But for those who are photographer and filmmakers, you're welcome to join here and do a little discussions here, or have a little bit of fun chat about anything you'd like to discuss in photography and filmmaking, of course, or more specifically Olympus stuff, because I am an Olympus ambassador, of course, and yeah, so I'm quite familiar with their latest kit, and I do use all their latest stuff. So yeah, you are very welcome to ask me anything you like. Even in general, of course, you know, being a professional photographer and filmmaker for so many years, I will be able to answer something for more generic, more professional questions, and even something that if you want to ask me some tips on how to operate certain things in certain scenarios and conditions, I'm here for you guys as well. So if you guys are new to my live stream, this is usually my schedule. I will have a schedule, but today I won't have this. This is wrong now. It's not Zoom versus Prime, because I don't do this. This is yesterday. So I'm going to talk about portrait today. So there you go. Being a portrait. Right, okay. And I'm going to have some sample photos so I can show you guys. Good morning, Elsa. Good morning, my friend. How are you? Very good to see you here. Wow, I've got some old dear friends joining this live stream. That's fantastic, right? Okay, so this is the normal format that I will conduct my stream every single day. So I will have a general update. So I will let my friends and family around the world know that we are doing okay under this unfortunate events that were happening at the moment in terms of lockdowns and all the viruses going on. And then we have a main topic of the day where we're going to spend majority of time talking about things, and then we have a final Q&A session where you can ask me anything. But like I mentioned so many times in all my streams before, I accept questions and then anytime. So this is a live stream, so you can ask me anytime. If I see the question pops up on my screen, I will answer them accordingly. So there's not a restricted or very strict rules that I'm imposing into the live stream. It's random, it's free, and yeah, it's just like let's talk like friends, yeah, right? We are friends, right? Yeah, good. Okay, what is ISO? Also, you know what ISO is? It's so funny because I remember there were people commenting about ISO before, or the way I say it, and I was saying ISO, and people were saying, no, you shouldn't say ISO, you should say ISO. But there were a little bit of a debate going on there, how you know what that should be, how you pronounce it. Should you call it ISO or ISO? A debate, and let me know what sort of thing you should be. I should be pronouncing it, and to be honest, I actually do say both, depending on my mood sometimes. Okay, right. Let's get rid of this. I'll show you my first portrait first, and that will be quite fun. Let's get the topic started. So. Portrait, and this is probably, I don't know, I mean, you guys are familiar with my YouTube channel, you've probably seen these shots before, and I had posted in one of my creative portrait videos that I did so many. Good morning, Ravinda. Wow, you're early today. Usually you join me kind of towards the 20 past 11 mark, and then but now you're here. Great, welcome Ravinder. This one of my dear friends from India as well now. So he's a fantastic guy. So there you go. Let's get started about portrait. So yeah, this photo of Sally that I took, you may have seen it in one of my videos on YouTube. Talk about creative photography, how did I create this sort of effects and things like that. And in fact, it's very simple and straightforward. All I did was just wriggling some LED lights in front of the lens, and to create this sort of, you can see this bubbly light bokeh in front of the photo itself. And it's a very simple thing. Sometimes you kind of think that, oh, did you do something Photoshop? Why did you overlay another? Good morning, Alex. And then yeah, you overlay certain layers in like in post productions. But I think if you've seen, I would say the last 4 or 5 streams that I was talking about, I'll try to do 90%, at least like 90% of everything that I need and everything I want in camera instead of post-production. I am not really I would say a production guy. I don't like Photoshop too much. Not that I dislike it to the point that I would just disregard all or everyone's photos who kind of manipulate it or enhance in Photoshop. I don't do that. I think they're great stuff, but I'm just not that type of photographer. I would like to keep it as real as possible, and if there is any effects that I would like to add to the photo, I will try to do that in camera. I will enhance it in a way that I would probably do dodge and burns a little bit, do a little bit of a crop, maybe some sort of rotations, and maybe to a certain extent some vignetting, depending on what sort of mood I'm going for. This is kind of the things that I usually do with my photos, and I don't do a huge amount of stuff unlike some of the photographers out there. Because why? As a professional, it's very, very different, and and also, again, depending on what sort of professional you are, but for my type of workers, I shoot loads, and I mean absolute tons of photos every single week. Not so much this year, but usually I take loads of photos every week, and I cannot afford to spend over 30 minutes a photo, because that would be impossible for me to go through that many photos in a week. Like for the last 2 years, and I've been doing over 160 portrait shoots a year. And then on top of that, I got weddings and I got other documentary work I'm doing. So I literally shooting, I think I give you some numbers just so you know the sort of a quantity that I'm going through every year. So I would have minimum 150 to 180,000 photos taken with a camera at any one year. So this is immense amount of numbers I'm doing. And good morning, David. Good morning, Dave. Oh, good morning. Good morning. And so you can kind of see that how many photos I take every year. And I'm not joking, because I do take a lot of photos. I do have a lot of photo shoots. I do have a lot of clients. And but this year, my camera's pretty fresh because I don't do enough, apparently, because all the COVID-19, unfortunately. And I think this year I've done possibly about a couple of thousand, maybe 3,000 shots so far. But I haven't shot any in the last month or so because there's no jobs around at the moment. But anyway, let's go back to this stuff. So that's why I don't spend a lot of time doing effects in post. Just something that is not feasible for me to do it. And so yeah, things like this, I would do it in camera, and that will be it. I will call it a day. So I'll show you another example of Zali, and this is another very classic shots that I do, and very straightforward. Good morning, Marcel. Wow, long time no see indeed. Haven't seen you for a week. Hope you had enjoyed the Easter break, and because this sunny weather is certainly very encouraging to look at, not so much of going out. And although I do want to go out, I'm just looking out of the window at the moment. It's just fantastic. The trees are so green, the skies are blue. There's no cloud whatsoever. Just nice day for a beach. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Let's go back to the photo here. So it's a classic shot of Sally, and once again, you can see this haze in the foreground. And this again is those LED light I mentioned about. And so once again, I just wiggle the LED in front of the lens and create this sort of effect. Simple thing again, and there's very, very minimum processing in after the camera. And even when again in Lightroom, the only thing I did was just basically bump the contrast a little bit and pull down the highlight a little bit, and that's more or less it. So very straightforward stuff, and let me go through another photo, and then I can start taking some questions if you may have. And yes, indeed, one form of exercise per day. Yes, indeed, and Marcel, and I did exercise every morning, and then I actually went. Well, get up with the kids and my family. The whole family will be watching Joe Wicks every morning. You know, just do these live YouTube exercise stuff. You know, for half an hour. So that's kind of the only thing that keeps me moving. And otherwise, I'll be sitting down every single day, just looking at the screen, doing this. Right. Okay. And let's go to another photo. Oh yeah, this photo is new. So, so how would you normally approach a portrait? You know, I kind of in the last, I think 3 days ago, I did a stream talking about my approach for a entire shoot. So if you missed that, go back to one of my previous streams, then you will be able to see that video, and I go through the entire mindset, my process of actually working as the subject into a photo shoot. But in terms of generally, you know, like if I do a shoots like Sally, like this one here, she's already a model, so she knows exactly what to do. So it's very straightforward for me to just ask her, can you just turn your head that way, you know, like look to your right, look down a little bit. It's very easy for me, it's easy for her because she's kind of already know what the photographer wants, or she already know and study her angles quite often. As a professional model, you know exactly, you know, your best features and how to showcase your best part of your bodies and face. So you know, as they can notice where you're pointing the camera and then move accordingly. That's how good when you're working with a professional model. They just simply know exactly what you want. So it's easy to do that sometimes. That's why I like to use Sally, because she's just lovely, and then she always knows exactly what I want to shoot. So that's fantastic as well. Let's get in another photo. So once again, I'm demonstrating all these LED light effects, and because it's something that I think you don't need to use LED, you can use other things, you know. And I think if you haven't seen this, I'm going to try to find the link and put it in the description after this live stream today. You'll be able to see that video and see what I used in the video, because I not only LED, I use other things. Well, I use, for instance, phone screen, and also some wrapping paper and other things. I can't remember exactly what now. So there are lots of things you can do to make your shots more creative. I know that if people have been following Peter McKinnon, you know, he used to do a lot of this kind of photography trick and tips. You know, they kind of put some Vaseline in front of the lens. I would not encourage you to do that, because that would damage your front elements, and that's definitely a no-go unless you buy a very cheap filter, and then just, yeah, you can damage that one. That's fine if you want to do that, but don't wipe it on your lens, and that is horrible. That's not a good thing to do. But you can create a lot of things with just you know, things in front of the lens. So remember, the key is always in front of the lens, so you can either very close to the lens or actually on the surface. So if you've got a filter, you can scratch it, you can put Vaseline like I just mentioned, you can do other things. You can also use some color wrapping papers, such as you know, things that you can find from Quality Street, you know, this chocolate packaging thing, and you can just put in front of the lens and see how it come out. You can also use those wrapping paper as color gel for flash photography, so which is actually quite cool. So let's go on to another shot. So this one is a different shoot altogether. This is just a simple portrait that I did with Sally at the I can't remember, Victoria Dock, right by Tower Bridge. It's a simple thing. I was actually testing the then new EM5 Mark III, because it's a fantastic camera, and I was testing the facial tracking and things. So this is actually shot with that feature enabled. So I didn't use single AF, I used CAF with face tracking, and it worked fine. It works perfect. It's no problem. This was shot with the 45mm 1.8. It's a fantastic lens, as you can see. I do like the rendering from this lens as well, and it's tiny. You know how tiny that is? That thing is really small. I do have it somewhere. I don't know actually where I put it, because it's so small. I might have lost it in my bag somewhere. And I actually have the almost entire Olympus catalog here. You know, like all the cameras and lenses, I have them all in my back cupboard somewhere, so I need to dig them up. But this is the 45mm 1.8. I think it's a fantastic lens and good for portrait. Even this one that I showed you earlier, this one here, was shot with the 45. So was this one? This definitely a 45. Actually, this one maybe a 17mm 1.2 Pro. So I think it is. So, and then finally this photo here. This is the 45, a very simple photo. Something I want to talk about composition in portrait is that a lot of people always put the subject really directly in the center, and I sometimes do this quite a different way, and maybe you can call it quirky in a way. I would like to put the subject slightly off center, and just to create a little bit of not movement, but a little bit of eccentricities in the photos, if that makes sense. And but that's something that I kind of like to do. So either way, this is kind of my thing about doing portraits, and there's no such a way as a fixed rules or any rules that you should be following. I know there are rule of third, there is all kinds of composition and lighting rules that you should be doing, but overall, I would like to see how your eyes see your photos, and then I will interpret your photo that way. So I wouldn't, because I know that a lot of people they're teaching photography when they talk about how you should be doing a portrait. There is certain rules you should be following. There shouldn't be a lot of empty or negative space surrounding a subject, or should there be? There's a lot of argument there where there should be some rules. But for me, the rules doesn't apply at all as long as I see the photo as very visually pleasing. Then I would like to say yes, that's a good photo. For instance, I'm trying to find one with a lot of negative space because we did another video about negative space videos on YouTube. It's actually a very, very fun thing to do, and I encourage you to try that, simply because negative space is a difficult thing to achieve, to do it nicely. I mean, but if you can do it, and it's a very good thing to do. Let me just see if I can find one in my catalog here. Right, I'm just need to enhance it. So anything that you may want to speak to me at the moment, you're very welcome to do so. So let me show you one photo like here. This is one example of empty space, and then let me just get rid of Sally for now. So this is one that with Paulina, and that I did with her almost 3-4 years ago now, because this is one of the very first video that we did on YouTube, and this is shot with the EM1 Mark II with the 35-100 Zuiko f2 lens from the 4/3 era. So it's quite an old lens, but it's a magnificent lens, and I love this photo because it's just a fun photo. It's both kind of more fashionable as well, and yeah, this is a cool thing. So it's about empty space here now. So there's a lot of empty space going on around the entire subject, but it works because it has the leading lines almost, because the step, you can see the step is kind of curving into her. So this kind of thing that will focus your eye a little bit. And of course, you have these wooden planks and wooden walls and doors in these vertical patterns, and she's right in the middle of it, which breaks the pattern. When I always talk about breaking patterns when I do workshops for people, and breaking patterns is one good way to create attention. So this is a very prime example of doing just that. You're having these vertical patterns there, and when you have a subject right in the middle, whether you're going to do it like face on or on the side, it doesn't really matter, because it breaks the pattern, the vertical pattern, and naturally your eyes will draw straight into it. So a very effective and very good way to do a empty shots or empty space shots. So there's another one for Paulina here, and that will just show you here. If I can show you this one. Boom! Wow. Okay, that's a big one. So, and once again, and I'm utilizing a lot of foreground interest, and let me just bump it on here. So a lot of foreground interest on the right hand side of the frame, and then she's just on the left hand side of the frame. Once again, this is empty space, negative space. But when I did the video on YouTube, I mentioned about why and how effective it is for empty space or negative space to draw attention to people. Because when you have absolutely nothing going on in the photo, and suddenly there is a person in the frame, the only thing you can look at in that frame is that person. So that's almost like the opposite way of breaking the pattern. Like there's nothing going on there, you're just simply focusing on that subject being presented in front of you. And this is exactly how this works at the moment, because I have a chunk of white space on the right hand side of the frame, and then you can only see the left hand side, so like naturally you will just look at her, there's nothing else. So that's another good way of leading your eyes attention to that photo. So these are once again very effective. Let me see if I can find another photo here, and so this photo I actually posted on Facebook yesterday, and so this is again very straightforward fashion shot, and Very simple but effective. Once again, using similar thing, almost empty negative space, but not quite empty because it's actually a brick wall, so it's got a little bit of pattern there. But the pattern is utilized as a leading line. You can see all this horizontal line kind of coming through and pointing at her. Obviously, there's a bright spot on the left-hand side, so that's another visual that you can see from there, and that will create a good attention grab from your eye, from viewer's eye. So that's another good way of getting your viewers' attention to that subject that you want to show them. Of course, Paulina's pretty. That's another thing. Let me see. It's another photo here. And right, I'm just trying to see if I can find another photo that's probably having the same or similar effect. Right. How are you guys anyway? I hope you guys are doing well in your area. And London is pretty much great lockdown. There's not much we can do at the moment. I've got a little bit of phlegms in my throat. This is not quite good. It's always when I talk too much that usually happens. Right, okay, let's see what other photos I can show you guys. I've got way too many photos. I'm always trying to get something to show you guys every single day, but you know, it's hard work to try to go through the entire library, especially with, like, you know, I told you how many photos I shot every single year. It is hard, man, I'm telling you. Right, that's another photo of the negative space, but this is a big headshot, this one, of Zoha. And so you can see here, very similar thing again, and where you see there is an entire frame being filled with the leaves in front of the the leaves in front of her. I use it as a foreground interest, or just trying to create some sort of green haze in front of her. But yeah, once again, the right hand side of the frame is filled with negative space again, and then the whole attention is being shifted to her face, because why? That's the only thing you can see. So this is a very good way to draw attention to your subject. I'm trying to find a leading lines thing you can do. That's a leading line photo here. Right, there you go. So that's a leading line photo, straightforward. You see the lines on the floor, see the lines on the side, on these structures and chairs and things like that. So they're all kind of pointing towards the center. This is a very classic leading line shot that you can achieve. Very straightforward. All you need to do is just place the subject right in the middle of a street, an aisle, or something like that. It's a very, very simple thing. So, oh, Trevor got a question here. Right, okay, how do I organize my photo? I usually, well, it depends. For my portfolio, I usually would organize by type, genre, you know, or projects, you know, depending on what sort of thing I'm doing. And then for jobs, jobs just year, date, and the persons, and so that's how my file structure works. So it's not so much, it's not very technical the way that I file things, and but I will be refine things. It's just that depending on if you remember which shot it was and things like that, and I will have maybe highlight certain photos I like into kind of like a special folder that I like to show people off. So sometime, you know, before I run a workshop, if I need to prepare some sample photos that I need to show people, then I would basically do that, and then I just grab all these favorite photos of mine and put them in one folder so I can demonstrate and show people later on. So I will do that as well. So let's see if we can get you another photo. I like these photos a lot because right, this you know what, something I like about shooting on the street is, and that's why I love going out to shoot, is I just like that naturalness. Is that such a word? Naturalness of the photos. You know, if you go outside, you get the typical London backgrounds, you know, and you got the whole atmosphere. It just feels a lot better, you know. And I do like this sort of mood and these sort of shots. It just makes me want to go out and shoot, especially when you're meeting some friends. And Sally's a good friend of mine, and yeah, we're just all having fun all the time. So this is a good negative space shot again. So once again, very, very fun negative space shot, and you can see exactly the same technique. And you can kind of see my style now, how I compose my photo. And I do this like a lot, and I mean like almost every single photos I shoot that I go to, I will have one similar type of shot always. You know, this is kind of my recipe in a way in my photo shoot. I always do something similar just to highlight them in a way, in a slightly special way, depending on whether it's color or black and white, because obviously black and white like this one here will show a completely different mood, but having a similar effect in terms of composition and drawing attention to your subject. Completely blank on the almost over half of the frame on the right hand side, so yeah, black and white is just doesn't really matter. It's just a way of me trying to grab your attention to her. So let's see if another one here, and like even this one I shot with an iPhone, so believe me or not. I'm going to try to show you this is also Zohar, and I did that with an iPhone. So once again, doesn't matter what camera you use, you can always kind of do similar things. And if you think that you need bokeh, you know, not necessarily, because you can always using this type of techniques to create the visual interest for your viewers. This is exactly what I did with the iPhone, because the iPhone is, you know, this is the old iPhone. This is about, I think, iPhone 6 or iPhone 7, can't remember now. So there aren't much depth of field with the lens, and the fake bokeh wasn't even invented yet, so like you can't really achieve anything like that. And this is a very simple shot and effective using a simple setup, very simple lens. And let me see another one here. Right, and right, I am going to show you what this one is. Have you guys ever tried to use these kind of what is it, the miniature effect? I like to play with it sometimes because I think it's quite fun actually, and you can have a look at this. I didn't make it extremely exaggerated, but I did use the miniature effect. You know, basically you just blur the top and blur the bottom, just kind of focusing on a strip of line in the middle of the frame or wherever you want to place your focusing point is. So this is like a toy-like thing, and let me just blow it a little bit bigger so you can see it better. So I think it's a pretty cool, fun thing to do, and sometimes, not all the time, but it's always fun to do this sort of shot. And how many of you shoot street photography? I just want to know, because I think street is one thing that I totally, utterly enjoy doing. And it's one fun thing to do because you can capture some moments that you just wow yourself at something every time you look at it. But this is another portrait shoot I've done, and utilizing one of my favorite vintage lens. And guess what lens this was used? You can all have a guess what this lens was used to create this photograph. I'll give you some give you the answer in a minute. But first, I want to first make an announcement again. Once again, if you haven't tried a long exposure shot with your Olympus camera or any camera with an IBIS, please take this challenge, because I'm going to showcase these photos tomorrow, not tomorrow, today, yeah, today live at 3 p.m. London time on my YouTube. We're going to talk a little bit about long exposures, handheld shots, just have a bit of fun there so we can talk about it. So I already got some pictures received, and so if you guys still have time, you can send it to me. It's not judge it, you know, it's not a competition. I'm not criticizing anything. I'm not even looking at the composition or anything like that, but all about the capabilities of modern day stabilization in the camera to see how good it is. Telephoto going forward. Well, a lot of people do use telephoto lens to do street photography. No, I know traditional people like to use the 35-24, like to go up close to your subject, but not necessarily. You don't need that. Longer focal length, you know, I did use 45 or longer lenses on the Micro Four Thirds, which means it's like 90 on the full frame to do street photography. Sometimes it's just depending on what sort of thing you can do or cannot do. Like you want to get away from getting too much attention, so you may want to step away a little bit and use a longer lens to get to the subject and things like that. That should be quite good. I do like street, don't have it very often. London's good places, people are used to people with cameras there. Tried. It's okay, man, I guess. And Trevor's saying that here, and London is a good place. Yes and no, you know, but I at the same time, I think sometimes London people can be a little bit rude at the same time as well. And as soon as you point a camera to them, they may react strangely. And so that's why you kind of have, being a street photographer sometimes is, you just have to be yourself, be confident about what you do, and you just have to do it. But also at the same time, you have to have a thick skin on your face just in case they say no or start reacting back like adversely, and then they just start to scream back at you. Because I did experience something like this before, but I guess most street photographers would kind of have this sort of experience every now and then. It's very difficult to do street photography like clean. I mean, I haven't seen that before. You always encounter some negativities in street photography, especially in modern days in developed cities like London. If you go to rural areas, if you go to like places that are not as strict or worry about people being photographed or in terms of privacies, and that's okay. I mean, if you go to some European countries, and for instance, like Portugal's, I actually have no problem doing that over there. In Hong Kong, there's depending which part of Hong Kong it is, but certainly normally it's okay. And China definitely okay. There's not a problem there. And Japan okay at all. Yeah, no problem. Japan, Korea as well. So it just depending on where you are. And New York, it can be quite strict as well. New York people can be a little bit strange, and we will see. Okay, but means your interaction talking to people half the fun of the street. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and Marcel put a right point there, and I do interact with my subject a lot when I do street photography. That's part of me, because you can see I'm a chatterbox. I do like to chat to people just almost like non-stop. So I could talk to people a lot and then just engage with them. I would do a portrait of them, like asking strangers to do a portrait. That's another thing I like to do. Then Marcel has the first-hand experience with me when we go out to do our workshop together. As a matter of fact, I would like to show you one and see if I can still find it somewhere in this particular folder that I have at the moment. I may have some street portraits, and let's see if I have one here. Nope, I can't see it. I have a lot of portrait stuff. Oh, there you go, that's one. Yes. Okay, there's go. Let me just delete this one here. And so did you guess what that lens I used for that photo that I just closed it? So that's a street photo, street portrait, complete stranger, I don't know him. I went up to him and talked to him a little bit, learned a little bit about him, and then he's also a photographer. You can see his camera in his hand. So, so that's why I kind of, first thing I broke the ice was, hey man, you got a nice camera there, and what is it? It's a film camera as well. I was also using a film camera, so like we kind of got these connections going on. So it's actually quite cool. And then as soon as, I broke the ice, I said, well, you're all right for me to take a photos? And I said, yeah, go ahead, man, just do that. So there's certain things that I do with my subject. I talk to them, trying to find a common point that we can talk to, and then, trying to ease the ice a little bit. And then I'll ask the questions, would you mind me taking a photo of you? Always like, come across confident, remember when you do a portrait shoot on the street photographing strangers, the more confident you are, the better it is, because I often see a lot of my students going up to do that sort of thing when they are a little bit too shy to ask the questions, and then they would come across a little bit uncomfortable, and for the actual subject, the man or woman will be a little bit, extra shy, if you come across like creepy in a way, just coming up to the very don't know what you're doing, and then still asking them to do a photo for you, and then they don't know what you're going to use the photo for. But if you come across being frank with them, I'm a photographer, I'm a street photographer, I just come across you, I just thought you look beautiful, or find something in common you can talk about, like this one here. Oh, you got a great camera, man. I'd just like to photograph you with that camera. Would that be okay? And then usually they're okay. 99% when I ask the question, they're okay with that. But of course, there will be still some people saying no. So don't forget that you can't get always 100%, and then be prepared some rejections and negativity towards it, because this is life, and unfortunately, it's never ever guarantee 100%. So be prepared for that. You'll be fine. Okay. Let's see what else there I can show you guys. Hopefully I can get another photo before I end today's stream. And oh, by the way, the DxO software that I reviewed, if you haven't seen that, and the video that I've done, let me just pull this photo up fairly quickly, because I processed this photo, of course, with Nick and DxO. This photo is in that software. The reviews is on our YouTube channel. The latest episode was based on this, so you can go and check out, because they just won the 2020 software of the year. So remember to check the software out. And unfortunately, my discount code has expired, so you can't enjoy that 20% off from it anymore. But they're still a very capable software. So if you consider breaking away from Lightroom, you may want to try them out to see whether it's good or not for you. Okay. So once in Birmingham, I had a guy asked me for some money for a bus. I said I would give him money if I could take a photograph. Well, that's a good moral question. Right, there are becoming more common now for photographers to go to like some of the poorer countries to offer money in order to get their photos. I've seen and witnessed a lot in places like Cuba and India, and I've seen them very, very often. And I don't know, like for me, I don't mind paying them money as long as they use it properly, and also if they are genuinely needed the money. Because a lot of people, I see them now, they simply would just hold their hand up and asking for money, and it's almost like their job to do it. So that, I don't encourage that. It's just because, especially when I went to Cuba, it's something that really discouraged me of doing that, because when I was in Cuba, I see these kids, they weren't even in school. It was actually during school time. I see these kids just wandering around in the street, asking people's money, asking tourists for money. They know the tourists want photo of them, so they do that all like every single day. I know they may earn more money they can think, or even earning more money than their parents would in Cuba. But the thing is, in long term, you're sacrificing education, you're sacrificing the precious childhood, the time that you want to study and play with your friends, and come out and asking the easy money in a way. And I discourage that. I don't like that. But if they are genuine, like let's say the people are desperate for money, you can see that they needed the money, and I don't mind playing a little bit and just trying to learn a little bit, help them out a little bit. And if photography is your thing, if you're happy, or if they're happy as well at the same time, then yeah, snap some photos and just create a story out of it, and that's perfectly fine. That's kind of my thinking behind my photos if I ever want to do something like that. But usually if I see kids just coming up to you and asking for money, and I would just say no, and then and you can tell by the way that they ask you. So that's something that I would not want to do that at all. But yeah, if they're genuine, okay, no problem. So let's go ahead and let's look at this again, see what other things I found this old photo of mine actually. I just want to show you that, because I used to use these old TLRs to film a lot on the street and during my workshop. You can see here the people behind me, they were all the students for my workshops, and I was holding a film cameras to make shots. Just some fun time, the old time. Right, okay, just to end today's stream with this. And these are some prints that I used to sell, and I still sell. You might recognize this photo because I showed you some photos that I took in China. And then this is one photo that I managed to sell after the publish from Business Insider in the US. And so people were asking for this shot. So there you go, I sold it. That was, I think I only printed about 3 copies of these, so there weren't many. That was done at the time. I can obviously reprint them if I want to, but that was the first 3 that I ever printed and sold. Okay, good. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's stream, and remember, I will have my 3 p.m. YouTube live. Don't forget, at 3 p.m. GMT London time. And also, if you want me to send me the long exposure shot, you still have a chance, and to send it to me at this email address. Remember, just send it to over there. When I receive them, I will display them during the live videos on YouTube. Just to have fun about long exposure shot. It's not about composition, not about lighting, nothing. It's all about how long you can handhold and get a sharp photo. So it's all a little bit of fun, and let's do that. Okay, so oh, okay, yeah, forgot about that. Yeah, one more announcement, because I have another live stream with Olympus UK tonight. So this is an official engagement with Olympus. If you guys want to come along and have a chat with me during the time, it's 8 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. so it's after dinner. So hopefully you guys will have an early dinner and join me with Olympus UK tonight. We're going to talk about making home videos and also like the setup that I'm using at the moment, or just how to utilize your OMD cameras for videoing and photography. Of course, you can ask me any question you like during the Q&A. So there you go. So I got 3 live stream today. Gosh, man, I'm gonna need a lot of water just to keep myself hydrated for that. So it's busy time, busy day today. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's stream and join me at 3 o'clock. If not, join me at 8 o'clock. And hopefully I'll see you in all 3. That would be awesome. Right, okay, I'll see you guys soon. And then don't forget, my sponsor link is right up here. Buy me a coffee if you like to support me and support these things I'm doing at the moment for photography and filmmaking in Olympus. There you go. Okay, how to make 8 looks interesting. Right, no problem. Thank you, Trevor. Hopefully I'll see you there at 8 o'clock. And I'll see you all. Until next time, until tomorrow, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.